such a good job of either stabilizing you or at least buying enough time, and he has the removal to back it up. So I think it's going to be a close one, but slight edge to the red-white deck of Jitse.
These players are putting themselves in great position to make top 8, and certainly the one who takes the pod down is going to feel very, very good moving forward. All right, it's time for round 10. Everybody, Marshall and Paul are in the booth for the final round of draft here at World Championship 29.
Thank you, Maria. Welcome back to the booth here at the World Championship. Marshall Sutcliffe with Paul Cheon. We are here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Beautiful day outside, I assume. Haven't been there myself because we're in here battling it out. This is the last round of booster draft for the tournament as it stands. And we've got our top 2 competitors in the field ready to battle Reid Duke against Jitse Goutbeek. And yeah, 2 very different approaches to the format here for these 2, Paul. We've seen a lot of Reid Duke's deck already today in the first couple of rounds. It's a pure ramp deck, something that you don't see super often in booster draft, but Reid's crafted a really nice strategy where he ramps up his mana in the first 2 to 3 turns of the game, and then finishes off with actually a sneaky 8 cards that cost 5 or more mana to help stabilize and then turn the game back in his favor.
You couldn't have...
Get started.
These are just 2 polar opposites in terms of what the decks are trying to do. Jitse with the the typical red-white aggressive strategy with really low curve and a lot of combat tricks and some removal spells. Reid trying to go big with the ramp strategy. The card that I really want to focus on in this matchup, Reid, Monty touched on it, it's the Hamlet Lens. But on Jitse's side, it's the 3 copies of Cooped Up.
Absolutely.
Because Reid is looking to slam down Hamlet Gluttons and make it so that that's the card that gets in the way of all the aggressive creatures. But Jitse has lots of ways to get them off the to deal with those creatures and attack through.
That's right. And you know, I really like Jitse's positioning here as the aggressor. And look at this, a little trade-off there.
Oh.
Huh. Reid's attack, that was kind of obvious. He wasn't going to be able to block as first strike would prevent it. But anyway, he has Troyan Gutsy Explorer now.
Yeah, which is an incredible card in Reid's deck. Reid just has basically everything you want in kind of a Simic Bant shell. You have Troyan, you have 7 things that cost 5 or more, you have up to Beanstalk, and a lot of other 2-mana creatures.
Wow, Reid's going to breathe a sigh of relief here as well. Cursed Courtier's going to hit the battlefield. It's just a 1/1 lifelinker right now, but more importantly, Reid gets to untap with Troyan. He could just start deploying 6s here.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of 7s. I suppose there's also cards like the Obira's Attendants that he could play this turn. Let's see what he has here. Nothing that costs, there's nothing he can play this turn. The one thing about Troyan is it taps for 2 mana, but only for big things.
That's right.
So if you don't have it for big things, it doesn't really do a lot. It does allow you to loot. And that's why for me, it's been a little underwhelming in general. I think Reid has the perfect deck for it because he has so many expensive things. But the fact that it doesn't just tap for mana has made it so that it's not quite as great as you would expect it to be for the Signpost Uncommon.
He has to decide between Sentinel of Lost Lore and Return from the Wilds. And this does look like a nice place to fire off a Return and get a 1/1 that actually does tussle with the Cursed Courtier as it currently sits, at least.
So Jitse with not the ideal start here. Has the Cooped Up for that Hamlet Glutton that Reid has. However, doesn't really have a whole lot in terms of offense here. No way to get the curse roll off of the Courtier. The Unassuming Sage can only place the Sorcerer roll on itself. So cannot do the nifty trick of putting it onto a different creature. Of course, if you put the Sorcerer roll on the Curse token would fall off.
That's right. Okay, but here's the turn where Reid gets to pop off. He's not taking any damage this turn, and look at that. We were talking about Hamlet Glutton and the role it could play in the matchup at the news desk, and you and I talked about it, and now we're going to see that in action because he's got a pair of them ready to rumble.
He's got a pair of them, going to fire off number 1 here. I wonder if Reid's debating whether or not he wants to use Brave the Wilds to sack a token to make a 3/3. but
that is exactly what he was debating, but he's decided, nope. I'm just going to start windmill slamming 7 drops.
All right.
Here
So
on turn 4.
cooped up number 1 has a target.
Okay.
Might attack with the courtier here too. Does have ride the rails on the daredevil.
Yep.
Okay, just
Going to start doing,
Okay.
getting his scry on. A little bit of forward progress here for Jitse, but
yeah. But
Reid's the one who's deploying his game plan much more effectively at this stage.
yeah.
With 2 cards in your hands.
Okay, he's going to play the minecart daredevil. It's just a 4/2.
So the question here just becomes, will Jitse find cooped up number 2 here? As this is going to be a Hamlet Glutton, the second one. Putting Reid up to 23. He's at a very comfortable life total right now.
7 mana.
And there it is, another one.
Go.
Jeez.
Pretty straightforward game plan, Marshall.
Yeah,
What's the biggest thing in my hand? I'm going to play that.
I'll play that one.
Yeah.
Gallant Pie Wielder is the draw there for Jitse.
And that is
Not going to do much.
not going to do much here, so he's just got to have to pass.
So now Reid gets to have a little time. And you
Get one
have to
card.
feel like the late game favors Reid Duke pretty significantly.
All right, a Hopeless Nightmare here.
Lose to life.
Jitse says, sure, I got plenty of lands to discard to that.
We'll note that with Hopeless Nightmare, because Reid does have a Brave the Wilds, so probably going to use the Brave the Wilds to sack the Hopeless Nightmare to make a 3/3 and get a land. But the way that the triggers work, you don't actually get the scry. Like you scry first before you search, so it's not. It doesn't give you the maximum value when you do when you sacrifice this to the Brave the Wilds.
It kind of matters here.
Right.
Like
does have
having
the
a
Troyantelope.
3/3 is good, but a scry 2 at this stage of the game,
Yeah.
you know, you're coming up on a card worth of value there. It's a decision that Reid's going to have to make. All right. Hamlet Glutton's going to smash, and that's going to take a third of Jitse's remaining life total. Down to 12 he goes.
But Jitse does have pretty substantial offensive force here, especially if Jitse can find a card to get Celebration on the Gallant Pie Wielder, right? That becomes a 2/3 double striker. So, but Reid will be able to play potentially 2 creatures this turn, right? You go Brave the Wilds, target your island, go get another forest, then play a Sentinel.
Sure. Yeah, Reid's been holding on to the Sentinel of Lost Lore.
Bargain. Hopeless Nightmare to make this swamp into a 3/3 creature. Scry 2, search for land. Bottom. Search.
But he's been holding on to that Sentinel for a while, and somehow Jitse played 2 adventure creatures, neither adventure.
Right. Just
He's like, fine, fine, fine. I'll just play a 3/4. And there it is.
Go.
right, but this is,
Because he gets to nab his graveyard here, or?
I guess choosing not to.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know if the Jitse does have. Does Jitse have any recursion at all?
There's the white one.
There is the Return Triumphant. Does have one.
And he has one?
Yeah.
So why didn't he get his yard? Well, he didn't either way, so we'll see if that ends up mattering a little later down the line. But for now, Gingerbread Hunter off the top for Duke.
Oh my!
And remember, he had to shuffle post scry, as you mentioned, Paul. So that was just a stone cold top deck right there.
Who needs to scry if you just draw it?
And look at this. He's going to tempt a double block here. He would dare you? No.
This is going. I'm going to take it.
But Jitse can't keep doing this.
Yeah, just hoping to draw one of the 2 cooped ups.
Yep.
Oh, this is so brutal.
Daredevil.
So take out the Daredevil.
And play it.
And he can even deploy it, get his food token on.
At 23.
Your move. This is like cooped up at the minimum
right
at this point.
Oh, yeah, but Bodyguard better here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Werefox Bodyguard would be nice.
But
is that what he drew?
I believe that's what he drew.
Business.
But, I mean, Reid just has so much in play. Right? You Bodyguard the Glutton, still have to deal with the 3/3. Excuse me, the Sentinel, the Hunter. Oh, and a Candy Grapple?
Are you serious, Reid?
All right.
Camera, I will put
Reid,
Everything
calm
is
down.
getting good.
Chill out, man. Like, this is a lot.
Oh,
It's just sitting over here like, what am I supposed to do?
And remember, the way that Werefox Bodyguard works, if you hit to cast the Bodyguard with the trigger on the stack, if you Candy Grapple the Bodyguard, the creature doesn't get exiled.
That's right.
So all these creatures are attacking.
He's not even going to bother deploying the thing. That's game number 1, going to Reid Duke in impressive fashion off of Troy.
Wow.
Now, I should tell you here, take a look at the records for these players, 8-1. If they were to pick up a victory, so let's say Reid can finish this off, or Jitse makes the big comeback 2-0 and 2-1 and picks up the match, that would leave them at 9 wins. Now, there's a magic number here at the World Championship. If you get to 10 wins, any round before the last round is Swiss, you are automatically locked for the top 8. So the winner of this match will have 3 free rolls. If they win any of them in standard, they're in. And then the last round they'll have to play, and if they win that, they could still get in on tiebreakers. It's not like impossible. You know, mathematically speaking, really good chance for top 8 for whoever wins this match right now.
Yeah, it's going to put them in incredible position. Now, of course, they're both, with the 8-1 record, they're going to be in great position regardless of the outcome of this match. But yes, at 9, we're talking about the potential to lose out all your rounds and possibly still make it.
Right, that's how good of a position that player will be. This is the one card, by the way, Paul, from Jitse that kind of doesn't fit the rest of the plan here, right? You see, he's got his Collector's Vault going. It's a somewhat powerful, if a little bit clunky card, but you don't see it in red-white very often.
No, absolutely not. This is the opposite of what typically the red-white deck's looking to do. I could see it potentially in Reid's deck.
Yeah,
you're trying to
it'd be
ramp,
very
play
good.
big things, it lets you loot. But in the red-white deck, it's a little bit too slow, but it does create treasures, and Jitse does have several adventure cards in his deck where for example, he has 2 copies of Picnic Runner, right? So it's like, hey, if I have something that can consistently generate treasures, perhaps I can use that to, you know, get a little more power out of my deck. But you're asking a lot, because if you play this turn 2, you're not playing a creature, right? So there was a Bellowing Bruiser, for example. That goes much better with, for example, what the red-white deck is generally trying to do. But
I mean, think about it from Reid's perspective, right? You don't do anything on turn 1, and then you know. Then turn 2, you play the vault. It reads like, oh, thank God. Like, that's the best case scenario for Reid, probably. Because Reid just needs a little bit of wiggle room. He needs a little bit of time where he's not getting his life total pressured the whole time, and then those gluttons can take over.
Reid's deck just looks so consistent, right?
It has been very consistent.
I mean, we're talking about 3 mana creatures, 3 Brave the Wilds, 2 Return from the Wilds. I mean, every hand's just going to look the same.
Go.
And the shields are up now. The Root Rider Fawn and the Sky Beast Tracker plus a 1/1 token. And, you know, static ability on the Tracker doesn't come up super often, but Reid's deck is actually built around this, you know, mana value 5 or greater thing. And the food tokens are going to matter.
In Reid's deck, it's 4 mana 2/4. When you play a spell, get a food.
Pretty much. I mean, by the time that thing's on the battlefield, it does play.
You've played all your cheap things at that point, right?
Mm-hmm. So can Jitse do something to get? He just has not been able to get any damage flowing this game or last. And once again, he's activating the vault.
Yeah. So, at the very least, this will create a treasure.
Yeah.
And if Jitse is able to play a permanent, that will give him an enabler for celebrating every turn, right? It's going to be pretty easy, given that you get that treasure. The cost is, of course, 1 mana, because you get the mana back from the treasure.
And with the Gallant Pie Wielder, that can add up.
Right, so probably deciding between maybe the Battle Garb or the Dragon Mantle if Jitse is interested in playing out the mountain this turn.
Mantle's going to hit the yard. And are we just going to see maybe cooped up on the tracker or the battle garb here?
I think we might see
Or
Pie Wielder number 2.
Another Pie Wielder.
Yep.
So now we have a celebration trigger as well. And that does lead a good attack here.
It would die if Reid double blocks.
If he double blocked with the fawn.
With the fawn in the tracker. So actually
Oh, and he's just going to pass. Wow. So, yeah, man. Reid's deck draws have lined up so well here.
Right.
Like, that was a lot of work for Jitse. He had to spend 2 mana. He had to sack a treasure. And he just had to watch that celebration trigger just disappear.
And Reid's hand is fantastic.
What has he
Candy
got
Grapple, Balluna's Gatekeeper, Hamlet Glutton, Fetch Quest potentially on the Bramble Familiar too.
Kidding me? Is Reid going to be 9-1?
I think he's a favorite here given his hand.
See if Jitse can fight back. We know his deck has the ability to be explosive.
Adventure.
Well, he's going to send one of them back. And he's just going to play the Bramble Familiar. And this is just such a classic Reid Duke trap. Like,
Yeah.
you have no good attack. And if you try to get frisky, he's just got
have
the
the
Candy
answer.
Grapple sitting there too.
Yep.
Reid knows.
Slow and steady.
Right? This is the game plan. How do I lengthen the game? Right? How do I make this go longer? Because, you know, one other thing to note here is that if you're in Reid's seat and you're watching your opponent activate that vault over and over, he's discarded 2 spells to it.
Right.
Like, it's not like he's crafting this perfect game plan with all these great spells. He's ditching them.
All right. And so now Candy Grapple's going to have a wonderful target here.
Beautiful.
That's a 4/3 double striker attacking. Use your mana and next turn start playing your big creatures.
Now, no mana available for Jitse right now, so Reid can just do the thing he's going to do, which in this case is Candy Grapple to kill it. Jeez. So not only a solid 1-for-1 for Reid, he played 3 spells that turn cycle.
Used all his mana.
And it was like a time walk against Jitse as well. Goodness sakes.
Yeah, Reid's pretty good at Magic, I'm just going to say.
Killing him softly here. Now what? Glutton?
Time to just hard cast the Glutton. No bargain. I want to keep my 1/1. Thank you very much.
Like, Reid's facing hardcore red-white aggro, and his life total hasn't been below like 16 or something.
Right.
In the match.
He's just dropped that one game against Ken Takahama in the first round.
Mm-hmm. And Ken had an absurd deck.
Right. But Reid's deck is also looking fantastic here.
It's just, you know, I think what you said is really what's standing out to me is the consistency of it.
Yeah.
2 cards in hand, 1 Hamlet Glutton, 1 Scarecrow.
It's hard to get that perfect balance of ramp spells, mana fixing, payoffs, and then also being able to find some interaction in there as well, right? Getting that perfect mix, and Reid just has it with the triple Hamlet Glutton.
Yep.
Okay, there's cooped up. And an equip. And he did activate the vault, so it did get double strike as well. But Reid says the best this 1/1 is going to do is soak up 8, so good enough.
That's another Hamlet Glutton.
Yeah, he's got a backup. You never leave home without at least 2 Hamlet Gluttons.
When you got 3. I don't know if there's any great blocks, so Reid might actually choose to attack this turn. You can just play the Hamlet Glutton and then get in for 4 potentially.
Yeah, he's got the Balluna's Gatekeeper on Adventure too, and it looks like he's going to go for that.
Just choosing to go for that instead, perhaps also playing the Scarecrow Guide, rather.
Mize.
Scarecrow.
Yeah.
He also got in for 2 with the Sky Beast tracker. He's also piling up food tokens. Reid is playing bigger, better, more, and more often.
Has used every single bit of his mana for every single turn.
Like, what are you going to do against that? Meanwhile, Jitse is over there with his vault, and he's activated it every turn.
Yeah, You know, and the kind of combo with the vault and the pie wielder, he's been able to pull it off here, but Reid just kind of has a much more powerful game plan. And Reid, if you can pick up this 9th win, getting one step closer. Of course, was the World Championship finalist
2013.
in 2013 in what many consider to be a very, very favorable matchup. I know that one was a really particularly tough loss for Reid.
Toughest of his career.
Yeah,
I've asked him.
absolutely.
Yeah, I did a video with him about that match. In fact, we went through the plays and we went into depth about it, and I could tell even talking to him about it then, that was years later.
Still thinks about it.
Yes.
Well, has the opportunity to potentially get that title.
Yeah, step 1, win this game.
Then win one more.
Step 2, win one more match today. And
Then a few more matches.
We'll get back to you
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Sunday about the rest. But like,
look, this whole
these are
ramp,
big steps.
this whole ramp strategy is working out real well here for Reid.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes he's supposed to have all Hamlet gluttons in his opening hand and not cast them, or he's supposed to ramp up to everything and just not have anything to cast.
That's the cost of playing ramp, right?
Right. He has not paid it.
No.
Every time we watch him,
he's done the ramp
it's this
into the big
perfect
thing.
blend where he like casts a big thing and then like, oh, I have a candy grapple here too, just to make
Right.
sure I don't die. He's now at 26 with 3 food. He's a dominating board presence as well.
And if he absolutely runs out of things to do, he can return the Bramble Familiar to hand, right? And then go cast Fetch Quest.
Sure.
Maybe find something else.
How
big.
about another glutton? He still has
Yeah.
one floating around somewhere,
That's
right?
true.
You got to feel for Jitse here.
Hey, Jitse has been fighting. It's the reason why he's
activating
8-1.
this vault. Yep.
It's another cooped up.
That is exactly what he needed to see to at least keep his life total from starting to plummet.
Has a nice little 1-2 in hand too with the Curse Courtier plus Monstrous Rage, right? You put the, you can remove the curse. Okay. It's a 4-3.
Yeah.
So it can still get double blocked down. It would mean you're trading the red cap thief for the archer.
4-3.
Is Reid ready to give up even 1 point of damage here?
As long as he stays above 20.
22-18.
All right,
All
he
right,
is.
all
He
right,
says, I'm
all
going to
right.
keep my board presence for the cost of going from 26, or sorry, down to 18 life. Wow.
He's at 22, right?
I believe he was at 26 to 22, but we have him at 18 for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, that's just a 4-3. That's not the double strike anymore. I apologize. That's me.
Okay, 22.
Yep.
Thank you.
So Reid still hasn't fallen below 20 this game. Uh-oh.
You can
Did
attack
Jitse
with
just
with everything and still use all your mana.
incredible.
You can go Sentinel plus Feed the Cauldron if you want. Could potentially wait till Jitse's turn, given that he's already got 3 food in play.
Sentinel of Lost Lore, bye-bye Graveyard. He doesn't get any extra value. He didn't have anything on an adventure that time. I'm just hoping that Jitse doesn't have to activate the vault again.
Oh,
Like, just
we are
please,
vaulting.
Just add to the board.
I mean, there is a Bellowing Bruiser.
Mm-hmm.
Could choose to just play that and attack with both. And try to race, but Jitse's down to 11 now?
He is. The leftovers from
Right.
Reid are attacking him down at this point.
And it's hard to race 3 food
It's
as
very
well.
difficult. Land drop for Jitse. Okay,
All
there's the
right.
bruiser.
Oh,
Bruiser,
defense.
go. Never where you want to be. Reid's going to go back up to 25.
I mean, the
left.
bruiser, Reid currently doesn't have an answer for the bruiser.
No, he
so
doesn't.
he doesn't have a great attack here,
No,
right?
no, he doesn't.
And Jitse's got that vault.
He's just going to pass it back. Okay, come on, Jitse. Let's get back in this thing.
Clawing back.
Double Hamlet Glutton. Who cares?
Ooh, cut in? It's also not bad.
Jeez.
You got the cut in. You can get rid of the Sentinel if you want.
Sentinel of Lost Swords at 3/4. The perfect size.
You think Reid's going to discard a card here and return Bramble Familiar to hand?
He might. He drew a land, right?
Has 7 mana even if you bounce it.
Yeah.
You discard the Swamp.
It does feel like it's about that time. All right, there's cut in. That's going to target the Sentinel. And then Young Hero Roll is going to go on the Red Cap Thief, I believe. Yeah, there we go.
So that can attack as a... It's currently a 4/3. It can attack as a 5/4 this turn.
Pick up that one counter.
So 5/4. Will Reid just fire off the Feed the Cauldron here? It's a very juicy target. Oh, just block bounce.
Block and bounce.
Any effects? To return Bramble Familiar to my hand.
There is a window for Jitse. No, he's just going to have to let that happen.
25-11, right?
Reid's like, you know what? I could use a 7-drop.
Yeah. Oh, 31.
So his life total's skyrocketing.
Right. Remember, when you cast Fetch Quest, that's another food off the tracker.
The Sky Beast tracker has produced multiple food.
All right, it's time for Hamlet Glutton number 3, I think, Marshall.
I'm ready.
I'll cast Fetch Quest and make a food.
All right, let's see what he hits.
1, 2,
Okay.
3, 4, 5.
Oh, that's a lot of lands.
Are you kidding me?
That's a lot of lands.
Enchantment, land, or creature. Yes, I get my Root Rider.
Get a Root Rider
Okay.
Fawn, so that's about as
That
close
was
to a
kind of a
miss as
whiff.
you're going to get. And
But hey, he
remember,
went through a
these go
bunch
to
of
the
lands.
yard. Yeah, that was actually beneficial, but he's got to be careful. Can't do that forever.
Right. Hey, and this Collector's Vault, I mean, Jitse doesn't need any more lands. Any land he draws, he can cycle.
Yeah, and he's
It's
built up
doing some
treasures
work.
as well. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I like this. This is an interesting game.
Still has a lot to fight for. I mean, a few turns ago, we thought it was all but over.
Yeah.
But Reid whiffing here, and Jitse, you know, finding a way to stabilize here could give him an opportunity here.
I have to start using dice. Pressure? Yeah. That? 4 treasures.
4 treasures. Now all of a sudden, remember we talked about it before, he's got Picnic Runner in his deck, right?
Picnic Ruiner, even
Picnic
worse.
Ruiner,
yeah.
rather, so lots of mana.
That's right. 4 treasures. Yeah. Okay.
We're attacking here too?
Jitse playing the calm, cool, and collected card here. He's just straightforward.
Yep.
Reid has a lot of life total to play with here, though, so he can just take it.
Grabby Giant time.
Mhm.
Blocks everything that Reid has. Doesn't get feed the Cauldron, does not kill it.
Let's see what Reid can find.
22 to 11.
And has plenty of things to cash in too with that Grabby Giant. You can start sacking treasures
Yo, true.
if you want to draw some cards.
Yeah, he's actually presenting a couple of different fronts at this point.
I will bargain Brave the Wilds.
This'll help.
Forest into a
Okay.
creature.
This actually can attack.
Yep, and Reid did draw in Obera's Attendance. So if Jitse chooses to block with the Grabby Giant, that would be a favorable exchange for Reid Duke.
And then he could still feed the Cauldron if he wants, and if he main phases it,
Right.
get that food as well.
Attack.
Will Jitse block?
Jitse does have Monstrous Rage.
Yeah.
That would work, right? Because you give it -4, -0, becomes an 0/3. You Monstrous Rage, that becomes a 3/4. The sizing is still great against the forest, right?
I think that's exactly what Jitse's going through in his mind right now.
It's like, what could you have? Okay.
Okay, that was a little weird timing.
I guess he just wants to keep the Grabby Giant alive, period.
Well, I just mean you say block, and then Reid has to decide what he wants to do.
That's fair. So Reid's like, well, I guess I'm just going to play the attendants now.
Yeah, I guess if you're just gonna.
Yep. But hey, that's a 5/4 trampler as well.
So just to reiterate, what would normally happen there is blockers are declared, and then priority would go back to Reid Duke. He would have to say, I'm not going to do anything. And then Jitse has an opening at that point to cast something.
All right, so Reid has two fantastic tricks here. So if Jitse chooses to go for a pretty aggressive attack here, Reid could potentially blow him out this turn.
It feels like Jitse has been building up towards something like that, but we'll see. He's shown remarkable patience this game.
Yeah.
The vault's done good work for him. It's interesting to try to figure out if it would have been better if it was just an aggressive creature and he could have been applying pressure.
Right.
But at this point in the game, it's much better. And perhaps the only reason we're at this point of the game is because of it.
The one thing, I suppose Reid probably close to decking, but you have to be wondering, why didn't Reid go for Fetch Quest again?
Mm-hmm. This is Stolen Goodies, by the way. This is the adventure for Picnic Ruiner.
You get 3 counters total, right?
Yeah.
So you're 2 and 1?
Yes.
Yep, it resolves.
Okay.
Okay, that
2 and
resolves.
And targeting the creatures that don't get targeted by Feed the Cauldron. How patient will Jitse choose to be here? It's like, what is the worst case scenario? He knows about the attendance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's going to play Picnic Ruiner.
Okay.
And he's just,
Just
going
with
to send in
one.
with this huge Grabby Giant.
This is what, a 7/6? No, excuse me,
bigger.
9/6. 9/6
Yeah,
trampler.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, 9/6 trampler. So if
And
Reid
that cannot be Cauldron.
That creature is a
Fed.
9/6.
Yes.
So Reid can make it down to 5 power with the attendance. So that's a 5/6. So if Reid does choose to block with everything, curious to see how Jitse will choose to order this, because if you target, for example, the Familiar plus the Fawn, that's 5 damage. You're guaranteed to get 2 things off the battlefield. If you order it like that, you only get rid of 1 Fawn.
If you get it like this, you actually only get just the tracker, right?
Is tracker number 1?
I believe that.
Okay.
We'll find out shortly, but my understanding is that
Got
that
it.
was
You're
first.
right.
Still, Reid has to be happy with this exchange. That tracker did serious work for him, and now he just took a huge threat off the battlefield.
Definitely.
And he has the attendance on adventure. Gives him something to do with his mana this turn if he needs to. Library getting a little light for Reid, but he's only done the 1.
Is that
What's up?
break the spell?
Did he bring that in out of the
Yeah,
sideboard?
that's what it looks like for the
22 to 11.
cooped ups, I imagine.
Wow, he actually has a window to do it here as well.
Filtering white mana with one Scarecrow.
Oh, man.
Break the spell.
And Jitse can't do anything about it because he's tapped out.
Wow.
Attack.
Getting in.
Yeah, because remember, Jitse's down to 11, so he's got to be very careful.
And this double block, Reid has Feed the Cauldron. This double block's going to be a
No, don't
disaster.
do it.
First
Oh, and Jitse is watching this game evaporate. I don't know if you caught that on his face, but there was a nod of resignation there as he says, yep. Because these are the types of plays that it's very difficult to come back from. Super high leverage turn there for Reid Duke.
Then you can go attendant as well, I believe.
Yeah,
What
can.
a turn here from Reid
He
Duke.
can, Paul, you're right.
Jeez. I mean, that's got to be it at this point, right?
That has to
That was
be.
just backbreaking.
I mean, just emotionally speaking, I don't know how he comes back.
I mean, I can barely handle it
Yeah,
here.
I mean, that was a very soul-crushing turn. In a game that Jitse has been fighting, trying to just get back into in any way. Remember, Reid's at 22 against an aggro deck. And that's going to do it. Reid Duke picks up the 3-0. That's going to put him at 9-1. And if he can win one of the next 3 matches, he will be in the top 8. And even if he doesn't, he can win the last one and probably get in. And even if he doesn't, he may still get in anyway. So unreal.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, with the incredible record, he's got to be loving his chances. This the ramp deck that team has brought has been doing extremely, extremely well, putting Nassif, Seth Manfield, and Reid Duke all into day 2. But that draft deck, man, that was fun to watch. And just watching Reid play that deck, every single mana was used on basically every single turn.
It's his comfort zone. He loves being mana efficient. He loves a game plan that he understands. Look, I'm trying to push this to a certain point. In this case, it was about as long as you could go, and he knows how to do it. I mean, how many times did he just like have 4 or 5 things and just say, go ahead? Like, I'm not risking anything.
And not only that, just his patience.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's legendary. He's known for his patience. But there were those instances where a lot of people watch and he goes, okay, well, then now he's just going to play his big thing, right? It's like, no. He gave Jitse plenty of opportunities to make mistakes, held up his tricks, and for the most part, Jitse did a great job playing around it.
Yeah.
But at the end, Reid finally got him, and it was just really fun to watch.
It finally collapsed. So Reid Duke with the big win here this round. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, though, we will have Simon Nielsen and Seth Manfield. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back to coverage here of the Magic the Gathering World Championship. Marshall Sutcliffe with Paul Cheon. We're in the last round of booster draft here for our World Championship competitors. Thankfully, that dragon didn't quite make the cut for our World Championship. That thing's right when you walk in, and it makes noise, like
sure
a lot
does.
of noise. It's very loud dragon. Our next one, Simon Nielsen is playing against Seth Manfield. Simon in a particularly interesting position. He started his draft yesterday with an 0-2. So you draft, you're excited, you sit down, you lose your first round. Okay, that's tough. Then you play your next round, you lose that, and you're like, I'm 0-2. Like, this has not gone well. And look at his record now. 7-2. He's waiting. He's trying to win his pod here to, have left behind that rocky start. And, if you've been watching professional level Magic recently, Simon has been on an absolute tear. Now, if you've been watching professional level Magic for any number of years, you'll know Seth Manfield on the side. In fact, he has won one of these things, a World Championship. And we're going to join these two in game number 2 with Simon Nielsen up a game. So now he's just one game away from turning an 0-2 start into a win out going into standard. What do the decks look like here, Paul?
So Seth Manfield is drafting kind of a Golgari control deck. I mean, we're looking at multiple copies of Territorial Witchstalker, which I think Seth is really just playing to kind of muck up the ground until he can kind of get into the late game and play kind of some of his larger win conditions. And this is kind of the deck that you would see Collector's Vault in more often, right? It's like, hey, I'm just trying to get to the late game. I'm going to make some treasures, and then I'm going to maybe play some Hamlet Gluttons and some large creatures and get there that way. Now, Simon Nielsen's deck is a blue-green deck, splashing white. Ooh.
Yeah, so there's some action here.
And apparently he has a Virtual Loyalty.
Yes, he does. He has Virtual Loyalty. That's one of the better cards. And then you see Greta on the other side here for Manfield. Oh, if you blinked, Grass Fate is going to take it down. So that's a Oblivion Ring style effect if you haven't seen it before. And that's going to have it exiled until it goes away.
Yeah. Oh, man, some
aggro.
haymaker. Not a common has not yet been cast.
No, they're not even bothering with these things. Gingerbread Hunter.
There we go.
There's a common for you, the Witchstalker.
It's in both decks.
Yeah, and Seth is going to keep things simple here and just fire off the Gingerbread Hunter after it already did its work.
Why does it have to make a food?
Yeah, come on.
It like doesn't have to, right?
It's
I mean, this
offensive.
is just so good. Yeah.
Howling Galefang's going to hit the battlefield now for Simon Nielsen. That will make the Witchstalker able to attack, but it looks like it's going to decide not to run headlong into a 5/5.
Good decision.
Yeah. In the meantime, with all that mana up, Simon Nielsen says, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and take the 5 here. Very risky to go for a double block in a situation like that. You won't often see professional players take that kind of risk on.
Yeah.
Okay, Wicked Visitor.
The Huntsman's Redemption here.
Huntsman's Redemption. That's 5 more power added to the board just this turn. Manfield, hyper mana efficient as well. You seeing a trend here, Paul?
Well, good players use their mana well.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, and Simon really wanted land number 5 there to perhaps slam that Virtue of Loyalty as quickly as possible here. So now Wicked Visitor likely going to be the target for the Huntsman's Redemption on the sacrifice to search for any creature in his deck. So whatever the best creature is in Seth Manfield's deck that's not Gingerbread Hunter is what he's going to be looking for.
Simon's going to return the favor attack with his 4/4 with Vigilance here because once again, he's the one with mana that's untapped.
Right.
And even though a double block from Seth may be tempting, it is definitely risky, but he's going to do it anyway. And it worked out for him.
And that was a great exchange there for...
See, these are the subtleties, right?
Man.
Seth made the block. Now, he knows the list, right? Oh, but look at this. Another Grasp of Fate here from Nielsen. How did he end up with 2 of those things?
You know, I don't think people are as high on it. It's a very good card, but the double white makes it really difficult for you to consistently play this card as a removal spell unless you're very heavy in white.
Right. And look at this. It's not going to be Gingerbread Hunter that goes away. It's Huntsman Redemption.
Okay, so
Clever.
Seth Manfield does have Agatha's Champion in his deck, so that would be the perfect creature to search for with the 2 food that he has in play.
Okay, Conceited Witch. That's going to be a wicked roll.
This is a lot of offense coming in, though.
That's a chump block right there.
Wow.
From Nielsen. Seth Manfield turning the tables quickly.
Can just play this witch too. That's his best option.
Hey, this is the downside of not taking out the Gingerbread Hunter, right? You're getting slammed on now.
If Seth has anything, you get punished. You take so much damage.
Right. So Simon's going to need to find a way to mitigate what's on board. He took the long game route with his Grasp of Fate, taking out Huntsman's Redemption. You can see why. It wasn't getting pretty for him going forward, but now he has to deal with what's on board, and Edgewall Pack is another great addition to the board here. Oh, and you can see why now. I did not know that Simon had that.
This makes more sense.
Yeah, now the game plan makes sense. In fact, I think if I'm in Seth's seat, I'm like, oh no, once he goes for that, because Expel the Interlopers is a great sweeper, and it's going to take care of the board here.
Expel Virtue Double Grasp?
Dude.
That's a reason to play a lot of planes.
I would be white, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Voracious Vermin is going to be the rebuild plan now. The chump block makes sense. Like it all comes together now that you see the Expel.
Definitely.
Beanstalk Worm.
And Seth doesn't have an attack through the worm unless he has a removal spell here. Okay, just flooding the board here, but none of them great at attacking. Well, actually, the Baronati and the Conceited Witch can technically get in if Simon doesn't have a creature to block.
Right.
A second creature to block the Menace on the Witch.
How about Sir Armont?
Oh, excuse me. Of course, the Beanstalk Worm also has reach, so the Baronati cannot attack. So
True.
Seth has no attacks unless he has a removal spell.
Yeah, he
or
went
a
from
great commentary.
theoretical 1 attack to 0.
To nothing.
Yep.
To potentially dead very soon. That's
Actually
a lot
true.
of attack.
Yeah, and don't forget Virtue of Loyalty sitting over there as well. It's
Right, you get to
adventure.
untap. You can attack, and then you get to untap, and it would get the counter.
Yeah, this is punishing the smaller creatures on the other side here for Seth. But Simon hasn't quite gone down that route just yet. Oh, but he is going to now.
Oh, no attacks
He
either.
doesn't want to trade. Okay.
Okay. Wow. I mean,
If he
Seth
waits
has
one turn, then his attacks get even better.
Seth needs to find removal spells or just try to close the door quick because this thing will run away with the game.
Is Seth the one that needs a sweeper now?
Yeah. What can we have though?
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty hard. It's going to be pretty hard to cast Expel. Yeah, make a 1/1. I mean a 2/2.
I mean a 2/2, a 3/3. Yeah.
Oof.
Return from the Wilds looks really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's 5 counters so far on Virtue of Loyalty.
I don't see a way out for Manfield at this point. Like Simon's at 11. You know, even an attack with all of his creatures getting through wouldn't kill him.
Okay, that deals with 1 creature.
Yeah. Scream Puff with Death Touch.
Okay.
Oh, hatching plans?
No bargain.
Oh,
Nope.
but now he's going to have a huge double striker in a little while.
Yeah.
Why don't you must have a specific plan for next turn.
Right.
Because you'd kind of want to keep hatching plans to trigger the Pie
Pie
Wielder,
Wielder?
probably, is
Right.
in conjunction with something else. But maybe he's got a way to sacrifice it, reload, and go crazy.
Yeah. Perhaps waiting for it to get 5 power before attacking because of the Scream Puff in play. But we're almost getting to the point where, I mean, Simon could just be representing a lethal attack, right?
Yeah, Simon's being really patient. You know, he's had some at least trade level attacks
Right.
prior, but he knows he can just sit here. His board's getting better.
It's like, how can I
Seth's
lose
isn't.
if I just keep playing creatures and don't do anything,
Right.
right?
And then just pick a nice turn to just
Right.
slam. Yeah. Man, taking a look at Seth Manfield's list, I don't know. I mean, he's well beyond the realm of having 1-for-1 removal.
Perhaps a sideboarded Spider Food. Okay,
Yeah, just to kill the virtue itself.
right.
Well, he's going to feed the Cauldron
That's
to
3
take
food.
out the scariest down the line threat.
I was going to see if he had a Sweet Tooth Witch, but he does not.
I
'cause
want to
that
see
would
what
be a
Simon
way.
does this turn.
Oh, ho, ho.
I didn't see, what is it? Whatever, he sacked the hatching plan.
That's
so
a
he gets
Diminisher
3.
Witch.
Diminisher Witch, okay, sure.
Oh, but didn't put it on the Scream Puff?
No, he's got some plan going here, Paul.
Yeah. Every time we go, Simon's in trouble, he tends to follow it up with something very impressive here.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, okay.
Really, really
Makes
impressive.
sense.
Yep. The Hamlet Glutton is going to sacrifice, since he controlled it, that roll, and that allows him
Right.
to cast it this turn as
Okay,
well. And he's finally
it's time.
attacking. What can Seth Manfield do? Can he leverage this board to get through, get some of these creatures off the board?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that Scream Puff's going to get in front of one of these creatures. There's a monster roll on the Beanstalk Worm, so that's an 8/7 Trampler. No, excuse me, 9/8 Trampler.
So that's probably one you want to not have to take another hit from.
Oh, no, there's a Sir Arm. I can't do this math. It's a 10/8.
It's
There's
a 10/8?
Well, there's
Oh,
a Sir
you're
Armand
right.
in play too,
Armand.
right? Yeah.
Well, looks like he's going to take down Sir Armand. Oh, down it goes. Down to 8,
Alright,
falls
and
Seth
now we have
Manfield.
2 gigantic Tramplers.
Yeah, this is basically a one-turner here for Seth to find an answer for the worm, and then that might buy him a turn if he's lucky. I mean, that human token's a 4/4 now, right? Just that little guy.
just a random 1/1.
Yeah, just a random 1/1. from Return to the Wilds is now grown to a 4/4. It's bigger than anything
The only thing
Seth has.
sweeper level type card I can think of is Spectre of Mortality, but Seth does not have nearly enough creatures in the graveyard to wipe the board. And it's also just not in his deck.
So that's a couple of problems.
Couple of problems, yes, I would say. Does Seth have Shattered the Oath? That can kill enchantments.
Yeah, this feels like if he had Shatter the Oath and killed the enchantment, that he would just die to the creatures anyway.
Wait.
Uh-oh. Twisted Fealty?
Okay, you get a Wicked Roll token as well.
Could he steal the game?
Could he? I mean, I think it might need one more card. So this is...
Could he steal the game?
That's a 10-power Trampler.
That's the question now.
Baronautic can attack for 3 in the air.
Oh, boy.
Oof.
Simon Nielsen just went from being way, way ahead to gulp. Okay, here
All
comes
right.
everything from Seth Manfield. He's still got cards in hand, too.
Oh, man.
And right now, Simon's tapped out. Oh, my goodness sakes. This has to be a very stressful moment for Nielsen.
Okay, so the Baronautic gets in for 2. You can potentially make it 3. Assuming you don't block the worm, that's an attack for 10. That's 13 between the 2 largest creatures there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, but you can't. You have to double block the Conceited Witch, so you're probably just letting the Witch through. In which case, you need to put something in front of the worm.
Simon has material he can throw away to just keep his life total high.
He can stay alive, but in order to stay alive, I think you need to put the Glutton potentially in front of the worm, just to stay alive.
Yikes.
Well, what happens if you don't? You put the Glutton in front of the Voracious Vermin? Perhaps double block the Beanstalk Worm? Then you take how much? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus whatever tramples through, which is 10. 10 minus 7 is 3. Yeah.
He has to consider wicked rolls here as well.
Not to mention, you still have to consider a little bit what kind of combat trick Seth might have. Because if you just survive this turn, you still have to be thinking, I'm still the one with Virtue of Loyalty.
Right, and Seth's at 8. Like, is there a way he can block, survive, and then just kill Seth? You know, where Seth is in a desperation mode where he's like, I need to hope that you make a mistake or that you play too conservatively or whatever.
And look at this, he's going double block here. So that's a 7/7 and a 4/4 up against a 10-power creature. Seth can choose to kill the Hamlet Glutton. The worm would also die, but Simon would still have a 4/4 in play.
Dude, that 1/1.
Right. He would have a 4/4 and a 4/3. The Diminisher Witch still lives, which does represent a lethal attack if Seth doesn't have a follow-up creature.
Uh-oh, Seth's picking up some lands here.
Oh, what can this be? Feed the Cauldron? No.
He's just going to
just
pump
a
the
pump?
Baronautic.
Isn't Seth just dead here? Is this not an attack for 8?
We'll see what Seth has.
Okay,
Does he
played
have?
the forest.
He can food token.
He does have a food token, so he played a land.
Okay.
Okay.
Still, that was a nice exchange for
Yeah,
Manfield.
absolutely.
He got both of the biggest creatures off the board from Simon's side.
Now remember, Virtue of Loyalty untapped, so this is a free attack here for Simon Nielsen.
Yeah.
You attack for 8, take Seth down to 3, and you can still play something, and you get to untap your creatures.
Oh, wait a minute. Archon's Glory.
Well, that's 2. And he can buy
And he
it
can
back.
buy it back right now? And he's going to sacrifice the virtue because he's got lethal even through the food token?
So that's an attack for 12.
That is.
Through the food.
You'd be at -1.
-1.
And there it is. Simon Nielsen from 0-2 has improved all the way through undefeated the second limited round. And he is now going to enter the fray for standard with a shot at top 8.
0-2-8-0, no problem. And you know what? I mean, you have to give credit to Seth. He made it a fight. Because you were like, well, there's just no chance Simon can possibly come back, can possibly lose the situation. But he gave it a shot. But wow, really, really great play there at the end, too. So Simon on a nice little heater here now.
He in big picture and on this tournament as well. That's going to do it for the limited rounds here from the World Championship. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to transition back over to standard. First, though, We're going to take a little break, and then you'll be right there with Maria, Monty, and they're fighting, and Cedric. Don't go anywhere.
Calm down.